If you ever wanted to challenge yourself, try learning Japanese. This will be a real test for your discipline, memory ability, your patience, and resilience every time you study. So you may ask me, Tim, why did you decide to study Japanese if it's so hard? Why do you need this language if you already know like a few and you live in Europe and you've never been there? You may be right, and I want to visit Japan. I don't really want to live there, I think. I don't think I agree with their culture in terms of work and life, yeah, the work-life balance. I kind of more agreeable on these terms with Spanish. That's why I chose Spain. It's a lovely country, and people live here not to work but to enjoy life. And this is my perspective. I also like to enjoy life. I don't really like to work, even though I have to. Well, so why? Why? Because, well, first of all, I wanted to challenge myself. As I said before, it's a real challenge. I also know Russian, which is a Slavic language. I know English, which is Germanic language. I know Spanish, which is Latin, yeah, from Latin tree language, Roman language, as we say now. I wanted some other perspective on languages, on life. So I thought learning the other language from another area, from another language tree, some Asian language, would be really nice and challenging. And since I was always a big fan of anime and Japanese culture in general, Japanese history, at some point I decided, well, why not? I actually had been wanting to learn Japanese for a while, and I've been postponing this for some years. Yeah, I wanted to learn many years ago. I thought, wow, especially when I watched a lot of anime, and I used to watch like a lot, especially in my 20s. I watched, I mean a lot of anime, and I started to watch in the beginning in Russian. But then at some point I couldn't find some translation, or I didn't like the translation. I thought it was like some just voice, it was disgusting. And I just started to watch in Japanese with, well, Russian subtitles, obviously. And I hit it off. It actually was like, wow, that's a beautiful language. I just love how it sounds, the expression, and the whole way I watched the anime changed. At that point, back in the days, I thought, wow, it would be cool to be able to speak or to learn. But then I didn't even speak English well. So I didn't even think about learning Japanese. To me, it was impossible. Impossible. Yeah? To me, learning like language, such language as Japanese, especially when I saw like characters for the first time, I was like, oh my god, what is this? I never will be able to remember this. It's just impossible. It's something was completely out of my mind. Some years passed. I stopped actually watching anime, and my curiosity about the culture didn't end. I still was interested in culture, and I like to listen to podcasts about Japan, about especially history of Japan, and any films if I couldn't find of about Japan, or some games. I would always play or watch, and I'm always interested in this culture. But I stopped watching anime for some while. To cut the long story short, that recently, a few years ago, I started to watch anime again, and I thought, why not? I think now I actually can learn it, because now I have in my baggage a few languages already. I have experienced in learning languages, and well, let's try it out. So I waited for a year, I think, and then I decided, okay, this is the time I want to study. And it was around a year ago. It was actually in the middle of May. So now the end of May. So it's more or less a year since I started to study Japanese. And now I want to mention about how complex Japanese is. First of all, it is obviously completely different from any European language I have ever met. It's completely different, not just in vocabulary, which is completely different. Yeah, the whole way vocabulary, words, letters, is constructed, formed in the language is different, but even grammar is different, pronunciation, tone. So you have to be aware of the tone you speak. Whereas, for example, in Russia or English, or I think Spanish, it doesn't really matter. It's not tone languages. It doesn't really matter what tone you speak. You don't change the meaning of the word. Yes, you can change the meaning of your intonation. You can change your emotion. Yeah, you can be angry. You can be, well, you can, by your tone, you can show different emotions. But you won't change the meaning of a word or a sentence. Whereas in Japanese, if you pronounce the same word, the same like in Chinese, if you pronounce the same word and in a different tone, so it will be different meaning and you have to be aware of it. Well, to be honest, I don't really bother with this yet because it's already complicated. What's more, and what is also challenging is the writing system. Japanese has three three alphabets. Can you believe that? Three bloody alphabets. Why do I have so many alphabets? Well, I don't know. Well, actually, I do. The first one they have kanji. This is the most difficult alphabet, and it's not actually alphabet. They're all not alphabets, but for me, it's easier to call them alphabets since I am from Indo-European language group, and for me, these letters or syllables or whatever they have there, characters, for me, it's still alphabet. So this first one, kanji, it was taken by Japanese people from China. So it's actually Chinese or Mandarin characters which were taken many, many years ago. And after they just applied these characters or they changed them to their words and meanings. Yeah, so some words may be the same. I don't know. Maybe pronunciation different. Maybe it's the same, but it's still different languages and alphabets. Yeah, maybe some characters are similar, but well, it's been thousands of years. Yeah, at least 1,000 or a few of years of changing. Yeah, so they were changing in different ways. So this is kanji, and we have like 2,500 minimum. Well, yeah, let's say like bare minimum of characters which you have to know to be able to speak fluently or to write or to read fluently enough. It's like, let's say, B2, C1 level. And then you kind of understand almost everything. How many of them? I don't really know. I think it's around 10,000 or maybe more of these characters, but you don't really need to know all of them. And I'm not going to study all of them for sure, since I'm not going to live in Japan. And for me, it's more like a hobby than a necessity. The next one we have is Hiragana. This one I learned, I think, almost first year or half a year I've been just learning Hiragana. This is native Japanese alphabet, which was developed by Japanese people. They decided to create their own system for low class people and for women. Education was primary for well-being people, yeah, for rich people, and they learned how to write kanji. It was an art actually, and many people didn't know how to write it. Yeah, they could speak obviously, but they couldn't write. So they designed some simplified version of kanji, and it is hiragana. There are 46 syllables. There are 46 characters, which coincides with syllables. And by combining these syllables, you can write any word in Japanese actually. Then we have another one, which is katakana. And this katakana is for foreign words. For foreign words are words that are not Japanese, not of Japanese origin. They are of some other country's origin. Initially, it was created by some monks that would use some Chinese words or from Korea or from some other nearby countries, But later on, after colonization era, when people from Europe started to come, like English, Portuguese, Spanish, and so on, so Japanese just what did they do? They just started to use katakana for these words. Until this day, all these words, foreign words, they are written in katakana. Unfortunately, it's not enough to learn only one alphabet. I would gladly learn just hiragana and use it for everything, which you actually can do, but you can't read because they use all three alphabets. Yeah, you won't be able to read anything, newspaper, watch anime, whatever. If you want to read something, you need to learn all three of them because they combine these three alphabets in their sentences, in their writing system. And this is why is it so challenging. Another grammatical thing, what I personally found really frustrating and difficult, well, it's actually with time now I feel a bit more confident with this, but in the beginning it was really difficult for me to apprehend. It kind of looks like preposition in English or other languages, but it's not. It's like this particle system. Well, the whole particle and structure in the sentence is different. The particle system is kind of a new thing, and the structure is just different from European languages. So that's why I'm struggling with these things. Let me explain what are particles. For example, let's take particle wa. This is a topic marker. So when you say something, when you say a sentence and you start with a topic and you need to marker that you introduce this topic. There is another, the direction marker or time marker. It's the same whether it's direction or time. So if you say something in the same direction and using time, you need to use 2 or 3 times this particle, which is mind-blowing. Well, I'll show you some sentences a bit easier. For example, Gakko ni ikimasu. Gakko, school, ni, like to, yeah, like this, that's the direction. And ikimasu, this is conjugation of going to school. Yeah, I'm going to school, I go to school. We have another one for possession, no. And I think no is used for something else, not just for possession, but I don't remember what else. Unfortunately, some of them can be used for different things, and this can be confusing. So it's used for this and it's used for that, and you handle but well, it is what it is. So, for example, if we want to say that this thing is possessed by someone, so we put someone in the beginning, then no, and then this thing which is possessed. So, for example, if it's my book, watashi no hon, where watashi, me, I know this book belongs to me. Hon is a book, and this book belongs to me. Well, that is what I find really frustrating, to be honest. Next, I wanted to share with you the materials. I studied Japanese with a study book. I actually like these old school methods with study books. Wherever language I learn, I usually use a study book, which I find well, the best suited for me personally. So I found this study book, Japanese from Zero. I have finished already Japanese from Zero 1. And this Japanese from Zero 1, you gradually, very slowly, you learn this hiragana characters, you learn these particles, you learn some words, and it's very slowly with a lot of English in it. So maybe it's not the best way to learn, not the fastest for sure, but it works for me. And what it works for me, it's fine, it's good. Same for you, yeah? If you find some materials, if you find some application, if they work for you, don't listen to anyone, do them. Maybe another one, and I think after Japanese from Zero 2, I may switch to Genki. So Genki is another study book which is in Japanese. There is some English there, but it's minor, it's not much, and you more immerse in this study book. So for me, when I opened this book, I got scared and I closed it. So I decided to study with something easier. As Japanese from Zero, it's a really great study book. Though, to be honest, now I kind of want to be, I'm a bit fed up with translations. You have to, almost all exercises you have to translate from Japanese to English, from English to Japanese, and doing these dialogues, you have to read them, translate them, and it's kind of horrible. I don't like translations. I usually, when I learn languages, or even if I teach languages, I kind of prefer teach or learn them in the language. Okay, you kind of immerse and you understand things by their meaning. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's easier. It's kind of how I like things. What else do I use? I use ChatGPT. You won't believe it, or you believe it, since you use ChatGPT for everything as well as me. It's the best teacher. Well, I mean, maybe it would be better if I found really good Japanese teacher, but it works for me again because I can ask it anytime I want. I can just open the application and start working with ChatGPT whenever I want. How I usually use it, I usually use when I do exercises, I can read the sentences or write the sentences. What did I write? Or to practice speaking, I say these sentences or vocabulary or things and ask ChatGPT to correct me if I pronounce it incorrectly or if I made any mistakes, so it would correct me. And it actually corrects me very well. Also, I ask about to translate me, to write in Hiragana, to write me Katakana, to show me Kanji, and it does everything very fast and well. So I really recommend you to use ChatGPT in any languages you learn. I also use it to learn German. And yes, I learn German as well, but I'll talk about German next time. Another time. The funny thing, I actually wanted to say this joke that I started to study German just in order to rest from Japanese. Can you imagine how hard Japanese is that I studied German just to rest from Japanese? Because I just couldn't take it any further and I decided, okay, I need something just else that I could pick up easier. Before we finish, I wanted also to mention, because I've been talking about how difficult is that or Japanese is, but I didn't say anything about what can be easy about this language. What easy from my point of view is pronunciation. And I don't mean that it's easy to pronounce like Japanese do. Definitely it's not as easy because we all have a bit different muscle memory in our mouth, sorry, and we are used to speaking some particular sounds in a different way. But I mean, from what it's written or how it's supposed to pronounce, it's quite easy and more or less you can pronounce well, and you don't really have different pronunciations depending on many things, like in, for example, German or English, where its pronunciation is quite difficult and complicated. It's such a complex thing. Also, grammar, if we get used to these particle things and we get used to structure that is a bit different from European languages, then it's actually not that complicated. Like, for example, Spanish grammar with subjunctive mood, with 16 or even more tenses, time tenses. Yeah, that when you have so many past tenses, you have future tenses. So far, I don't know, to be honest. I don't really know because I've been studying only for a year. I'm not an expert. This is only my observation. In my observation, for now, it's not that difficult. To make it past, you just do a little bit tweak in conjugation or verb, and that's it. And that's it's in the past. Yeah, you don't really need. And I think it's like almost all of them are the same. Yeah, there are like a few ways to do that, but that's it. Lastly, I want to make an overview of the language. It will be a scale of 5. Let's start with overall difficulty. Overall difficulty is 5 out of 5. And I mean, I want to say for European languages, for someone who is from European part of the planet. So for me personally, is absolutely disgustingly difficult. Yeah, learning especially this kanji thing. There's so many characters. It's completely different. Yeah, there are some words which I can understand, which like the foreign words, which thanks God we have like many of them, but still. Grammar, I would say 3. I wouldn't say it's so difficult. It's difficult, again, these particles and different structure. Tenses, not difficult. Difficult tone system, but I think it's more about pronunciation, which is next one, pronunciation. 3, also 3. I don't think it's so difficult. Even the tone system, I don't bother with it right now, but I think, well, you can manage it more or less. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment if you think it's really complicated, if you learn Japanese or if you're from Japan, if you think that is pronunciation is really difficult, let me know that I will be scared of my future. And last one, how fast you can start speaking. 5. It's not fast. I've been studying this for a year and I can barely speak. I can read a little bit of, especially if it's hiragana, I can read hiragana. I cannot understand all words, but I can read it. Can you imagine remember the whole alphabet and a little bit of katakana. I can't read kanji. I know just a few characters, but it's impossible. Speaking also is it's just difficult because I'm like remembering the correct structure. The words, vocabulary is really difficult to remember, so it's 5. And this is it. I actually prepared a bonus for you for those who stayed for so long. I'm going to speak a little bit in Japanese just to show a little bit of my progress. こんにちは。僕の名前はティムです。ロシア人です。でも、スペインに住んでる。1年前から日本語を勉強してる。日本語は難しい。でも面白いです。そして日本の文化とアニメと音楽が大好きです。毎週少し日本語を勉強する。ありがとうございます。じゃあね